Okay, excuse me. Let's see, we have. It's like we have Larry, Chris, and myself right now for the KMAC members. I want to just wait one more minute or so, so others can join. We have Ruel. Hopefully that's correct.
Yep, you said it right.
All right, Ruel and Melissa. All right, and let's see. I'm not sure I have everybody. So. Okay, so, well, okay, it's 7:01. Welcome to the June KMAC meeting. And hopefully, as you can see on the screen, this is our agenda for tonight. So first of all, what we're going to do is we are going to do a roll call of the KMAC members of who's here. So I think we have Chris Bryden and
Present.
Larry Nucci
Here.
and Melissa Holmsnyder
Here.
and Raul Cook.
Here.
All right. Just to mention, Raul is this is her first meeting for the KMAC. In KMAC, she is serving as the second alternate for our meeting. And today, since we have, well, we have 5 that are in attendance, we need to have 3 members of KMAC to, so we can have a quorum, and so we can make recommendations for the projects that we're going to look at tonight. So with that, I'm going to go to citizens' comments, and these are comments that are not a part of the agenda tonight. So anybody from the community would like to speak on anything that's not on the agenda tonight, please raise your hand or just speak up at this time.
I can't see the whole agenda, if you can hear me.
Okay, so it's
There we
actually
go.
there's projects, there's meeting,
Yeah, keep going. Okay,
adjournment.
yep.
Right.
Thanks. Thank you.
Patrick,
Yes.
sorry I missed roll call.
Oh, Adamson.
Lloyd,
Lloyd, I'm sorry.
I won't
Yeah.
hold that against you.
Sorry. So we also have Lord Cowell, KMAC member as well. So thank you for joining. I do have a question or a comment to Robert Rogers, liaison to Supervisor John Joya. As we are in the Zoom meeting today, I know there's been many discussions about having our meetings that are going to be held in the hybrid form in the library, possibly in the Kensington Library, and then also having a Zoom call. I just wanted to know whether or not that's going to be applicable for July or months to come.
Thanks very much for asking, Patrick. I had a discussion with Supervisor Joya about that same topic just today. As you know, we are technologically enabled to have hybrid meetings at the library now. We have been ready to go for some time, but we have not yet gotten the green light from the county. And Supervisor Joya does not want to commit to saying it's a go for July. He wants to reach out to the KMAC in the coming weeks and let us know where we are based on the most recent data.
Okay, that sounds good. I probably will not have this as a meeting agenda tonight, but probably for the next meeting, I do want to see if we can maybe change our meeting dates from the last Tuesday of the month to the last Wednesday of the month. At least we'll know exactly what date we're going to have our meeting, as opposed to whether or not it will be a library or whether or not it will be a Zoom call. So we can have that maybe as an agenda next meeting. But for right now, we'll hang tight in terms of figuring out where we stand in the next for the next month, and then meetings to come. All right, thanks. Any other citizens' comments? If not, I'm going to go to the approval of the meeting notes of May 31st, 2022. I'm going to just put those up for right now. I think those were sent to the KMAC members. Noted that myself, Lloyd, Melissa, Adam, and Chris were in attendance, but Larry was not. So any comments regarding the meeting notes that were made for May 31st, 2022? Then do I have here a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes dated Tuesday, May 31st, 2022.
I'll
And
second.
Lloyd, you're beaten by Melissa, I think. So I have a recommendation, I mean, approval of the meeting, a motion to approve the meeting notes of May 31st, 2022, and a second from Melissa. Do you have any comments regarding the motion? If not, all those in favor, say aye or raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Okay. So I have Chris. Do I hear Melissa?
He's muted.
Oh, yes?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay.
Aye.
I have Lloyd, Melissa, Chris, and myself.
I see Adam.
And Adam. I said aye as well.
Oh, Adam. Oh, I'm sorry. I see that you're on now, Adam. So we have, I'm sorry, Patrick, Lloyd, Melissa, Adam, and Chris. All right. Thank you. And no nays. So those are approved. So we're at the meeting that at the point of the time that we are going to talk about the projects at hand. I'm going to put up the agenda tonight. I'm going to say the first meeting agenda 141 Purdue. As some of you know, we will not hear this project tonight. So if you're in attendance for this particular project, you can either sign off but if you wish to, if you haven't been on the distribution list of this particular item, I can get your email and I will let you know when this project may be heard. Hopefully it may be heard next month in July. So if there's nobody, I just want to make sure that people that are here for 141 Purdue, we will not talk about this particular project tonight. All right, good enough. Before we talk, before we discuss the three other projects, 210 Kenyon, 829 Coventry, and 205 Columbia, I want to put up items that how we actually, if you've never come to have ever attended a KMAC meeting, of kind of the rules of an engagement, as we would say, as we would go forth with the meeting. So I'm going to put up the first thing, which is the meeting process. So this actually, the meeting process is really based on when we were meeting in person, but it's very applicable to our meeting that we're going to have by Zoom tonight. So first of all, we'll ask the applicant to present the project, ask the applicant to present 5 minutes or so, briefly talk about the project. And then KMAC members will have questions to ask the applicant about the project, brief questions. And then at that point in time, I will open the meeting to the public. And if you wouldn't mind, it says the fourth item says speakers will be asked to identify themselves and address their residents. And then the second one is the speaker may ask questions. We are going to ask for you to identify yourself, if you wouldn't mind, say where you're from, and then in the event that the project may be look for a continuance, we would like to have your email address so we can let you know if the meeting has been rescheduled. So with that, we will do at that point in time. What I'd like is for those people who would like to speak on that particular topic to use the little raise hand in the Zoom thing so I can make sure I call on you, and we'll hopefully be done in an orderly manner. And then the speaker can ask, and then you're able to ask questions, make comments regarding that. We'll try to keep it to a 3 to 4 minute time frame for each speaker. And then at the end of that, I'll have, if there's any questions that need to be answered by the applicant from the speakers, I'll allow that to happen at the end. And so I would hope that the applicant will allow any speakers that in the public that would like to speak, not to respond or rebut anything during that time frame, and you'll have your time to speak at that point in time. And then after the applicant has responded to any questions, I'll close the meeting for public comment, and we'll discuss it amongst ourselves, the KMAC members, and then hopefully we will make a recommendation. KMAC only makes recommendations of approval or denial, but we do not actually approve or deny a project. That is really up to the zoning administrator for Contra Costa County to do that. So that is sort of the meeting process as we go through the project in general. And then the second thing I want to read are items that in regards to the projects themselves. These are the I'm going to read the 5 general plan policies of the Kensington area, which are unique to Kensington, which is this is part of the Contra Costa County Code. And these items in particular relate to Kensington as we are reviewing these projects that are in front of us. So I'll just read them. You can see them on the screen. The first is to allow for the review of the new residential development that provides reasonable protection for existing residents in the Kensington community with regards to views, design compatibility, including building bulk, size, and height, adequate parking, privacy, and access to sunlight. The second is the preservation of views of the scenic and natural features, for example, the bay and mountains and the developed environments, such as the bridges, city skylines will be incorporated into our review. The third is the review of the proposed residential development for design compatibility with nearby developments with regards to building height, mass, mechanical activities, and provisions for adequate parking. The fourth is the new residential development will be reviewed against realistic impacts of privacy and sunlight on surrounding neighbors. And the fifth is if this project was a non-residential development, we would actually look at the 4 items that are above. So with that, I don't think there's any project that actually is asking for or looking at a variance. Is that correct? Let me just check that for 1 second.
Coventry is.
Oh, right.
Coventry is.
They are. Okay, they all are actually. I'm sorry. So I will read the 3 part of the items with regards to the variance findings that we need to find on all 3 actually items. So the first is the required findings are that, excuse me, that any variance authorized shall not constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with the limitations on other properties in the vicinity and the respective land use district in which the subject property is located. The second finding is that because of special circumstances applicable to the subject property because of its size, shape, topography, location, or surroundings. The strict application of the respective zoning regulations is found to deprive the subject property of rights enjoyed by other properties in the vicinity and within the identical land use district. And the third, that any variance authorized shall substantially meet the intent and purpose of the respective land use district in which the subject property is located. So those are the three variance requirements that we need to find, not just not one or not two. We need to find that all three are satisfied. So with that, I believe the first item up for the agenda, since 141 is not going to, we're not going to listen to 141, is 210 Kenyon, VR 22-01025. The applicant requests a variance permit to allow for a 6-inch side yard setback where 3 feet is minimum required for a covered porch deck. So with that, maybe I'll have Marcus provide the presentation. If you have that, I do have your presentation if you have problems with the Zoom, but
Okay, I can give it a hi. Good evening, everybody. Hi, nice to see you all. I have a real quick PowerPoint. You said 5 minutes, and I can certainly do that in 5 minutes. If you give me 1 second to share my screen. The little button that starts the PowerPoint is hidden. There we go. Okay. So again, I'm Marcus Hipster. I'm the owner of 210 Kenyon Avenue. We're near the corner of Kenyon and Wellesley. Our project that we plan to do is predominantly an interior renovation project, which doesn't have anything to do with the variance itself. We're doing some revisions to an interior stair. We're upgrading bathrooms, replacing windows, some structural repairs, exterior painting. And we also want to remodel our kitchen. And that's where the variance part comes into play, which is what that asterisk is for. Just a couple images there on the screen about the plan, but I'm going to kind of walk you through what it is that we plan to do. And I don't know if I'm able to look at that. I can actually draw as we're talking. So on the left is the existing floor plan. Basically, this is the outline of our existing kitchen. And we can all make judgment calls about how big a kitchen should be, but we think it's pretty small. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to expand it. Adjacent to that kitchen is an outdoor enclosed, semi-enclosed porch. So on the right-hand side is a window wall, and then there's some steps down, and that's how we take the trash out to the trash area that we have out there. What we'd like to do is we'd like to, if you look there on the right, we'd like to enclose that porch. So this is where that porch is in the existing plans. We'd like to enclose that porch in order to expand our kitchen. And because we still need to be able to get out and take trash out to the trash area, we want to put in a door on this side here and cover that so that we can take the trash out and well, take the trash out. I'm trying to get my for some reason it's decided not to move forward in the slide presentation. There we go. So that's the front of the area. That's the front of our house. You can see there on the left what that enclosed, semi-enclosed porch already looks like. The plan is, as I mentioned, to enclose that porch, expand the kitchen into it, and then have the door go out to the side. There's a little bit of a side yard there that's relatively unusual. We'd like to just turn that into a covered porch. So that's generally, and I realize it's diagrammatic. I did the diagram in PowerPoint, so it's not beautiful, but this gives you a sense of exactly what the change is. It's not terribly dramatic. What the variance request is that overhang there on the left. Try and show you again. That overhang there on the left, this is the overhang that's going to get a little bit close to the fence line. It's about 6 inches away from the fence line, and it'll be 6 inches away for approximately 10 feet. So just to kind of give you a sense of where the house is situated. So the kitchen is in the house exists right here in this area, and you can see the porch that we'd like to enclose. The property lines are there on the left and the right. It's an odd shaped lot. They kind of shoehorned the house in when they built it in 1939. And the existing setback is already less than 3 feet. Our existing house is set back from the property line about just over 2 feet. So we want to reduce that a little bit. And I'll show you exactly how here in a second. It looks like it's going to make me erase everything before I keep talking. So, excuse me, guys, for not. Okay, so you can see the location, the orange areas, the lighter orange area is the enclosed porch. The darker orange area with the dashed blue line, that's the overhang that we'd like to create. You can see that there is a small bit of it that's fairly close to the property line and the fence. So what does that look like from the neighbor's house? The neighbors are at 212 Canyon, or would be the ones that would be mostly impacted from this. We have a relatively good relationship with them. I've talked with them about the project. They've been verbally supportive. They just built a deck adjacent to our property. You can kind of see the improvements that they've made. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But you can see on the left is the existing view from their front yard. And on the right, you can see what we anticipate that the view is going to be from their yard when it's all done. It's not a tremendous impact, at least my view. I'm the one asking for a variance, so of course I'm going to say that. So the various different findings that are required, right? One of them is that we're not getting anything that somebody else doesn't get also, right? So actually at 112 Kenyon, just a few doors down, there is already a house with a 6-inch setback. In fact, you can see there on the left, that's the parcel map. And you can see the diagram of the house there. But if you see the photograph there on the right, you see the curb that comes away from the garage. That's actually where the property line is. The fence there is all in the adjacent property. And actually part of that house, it appears, actually goes over the property line into the adjacent property. So we're very similar in that way to a house that's just down the street. And actually they have quite a bit more house on the property line than we're talking about. We're talking about 10 foot of an overhang. And then getting back to, the sort of the rationale behind the issue of setbacks, right? We want setbacks because we want to be able to have a distance between homes. We want to protect privacy. We want to protect light. And in this case, their existing house adjacent to us, the 212 Kenyon, you can see a photograph from our yard, actually from our dining room window into their house. I took the other view you saw was sort of in the front yard, almost directly opposite where this photo has been taken. They recently built this large deck to connect their upper yard and lower yard. There's about a 12-foot difference between the front yard and the lower yard. And you can see that stair that goes down there on the right, if you're looking at the photograph. The image there on the left kind of gives you an idea of where that deck is that they put in. The point being is that the house is relatively far away already from the fence. And so we do have that separation, even if the overhang does get a little bit closer to the fence. So with that, that's my brief overview of the project and what we're asking for, just to leave you with these images about what we want the project to be. And thank you very much for your time. And you're muted, Patrick.
Sorry. Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate that. At this point in time, I'm going to ask the KMAC members if you have any questions, brief comments or questions to the applicant. So I'll just start with Chris.
No, Marcus, great, simple presentation. And I'd say, I'd agree with you. I think in general, it meets the requirements for a variance and looks like a nice improvement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa?
I agree with Chris. And my one question is the neighbor here to confirm that there's no issue
We'll find out.
at 212 Kenyon? Yeah.
Yeah,
The
no.
neighbors are Michael and Maureen Wetter. I don't know if they're on or not, but that's who they are.
Thank you. Any other questions, Melissa?
No.
I don't see them on, Melissa,
Okay.
but we can assume they were notified.
Lloyd?
I have no questions, Patrick. Thank you.
Larry?
I actually live down the street from this house and I walk by it a couple of times a week with my dog and I think the request is very reasonable. I don't see any issues here at all.
Adam,
No questions, and I agree with the group.
Ro,
I agree with the proposal to increase the roof line and make the changes.
all right, thank you very much. All right, at this point in time, I'm going to ask the public if there's any, if you would maybe stop sharing.
I can, yes.
I can't stop sharing.
Thank you, Marcus. So at this time, I'm going to open it up for public comments or questions. If there's anyone that would like to speak on that, raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised or anything like that. Okay, so I'm going to assume that nobody has, the public doesn't have any comments on that. If not, Marcus, any last comments or comments that you like? All right.
No, I just appreciate the time. I'm
Right.
glad we do this to make recommendations to the county, to be perfectly honest. I think it's a good strategy.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to close the meeting on this project, discussion on this project to the public, and I'm going to open it up to the KMAC members again. So I'll start with Chris again. Any comments on this?
Nope.
Yeah, no. Okay. Melissa? No.
No nod.
Yeah. All right. She's muted. Lloyd, anything?
No, thanks, Patrick.
All right.
Sorry, no.
No. Okay. Larry?
No,
Larry?
I think it meets the requirements for variance. It's fine.
All right. Adam?
No comments.
Okay. And no?
No comments.
All right. So at this time, I'm going to ask if there's any motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of 210 Kenyon VR 22-01025 in that it meets the requirements for a variance.
Okay.
I'll second.
And Lloyd is a second. Is that right?
Adam,
Yes,
No,
do it.
I'm
Adam,
sorry.
second.
Larry,
we have
I'm
the
sorry,
same
both of
voice.
you. Which one seconded first?
Adam,
Adam.
Adam was your
Adam,
second.
okay.
Aye.
So that's that.
Let the record show.
Wow. There's all these little, Hollywood squares looking things. So I'm just trying to figure out. So I have a motion from Chris to recommend approval of 210 Kenyon. I don't, in terms of the project, and a second from Adam. So any comments, questions, revisions to the motion? Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask all those in favor for recommendation, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
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 All those opposed? No? Okay, so we have Chris, Melissa, Lloyd, Larry, Adam, Raul, myself, Patrick, recommend approval, and we have no nays. So at this point in time, Marcus, your project through KMAC has been recommended for approval. Probably the best thing to do is probably contact the planner and see when you can get on the agenda for the zoning administrator. So
Wonderful.
hopefully that will be in a few weeks, I think. Or I'm going to say, I would talk to them and see when you can get on. It may
Right.
be slower than that. But I will give our recommendations to the county probably after this meeting or tomorrow. And so they will know the trigger in terms of setting up that meeting agenda.
Great.
For the zoning administrator. All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you all very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye. All right. So with that said, I'm going to go to our next meeting agenda, which is item 6, which is 829 Coventry. Again, this is a VR 22-01026. The applicant requests approval of the variance to allow a third story where 2.5 stories is required for further excavation of the existing 1,260 square feet lower level for a new slab foundation and interior improvements on all levels to an existing approximately 3,075 square feet residence, and the Kensington Design Review for exterior changes to existing windows and doors and a new larger rear deck. The existing 3,221 square feet gross floor area GFA will not be expanded and is below the GFA threshold of 3,300 square feet for the subject property. So with regards to 829, maybe Christian, are you going to be
Yes.
presenting? Okay.
Yes.
I'll stop sharing. And if you want to just introduce yourself and then start on your presentation, that would be great.
My name is Christian Dower. I'm the architect for the owners and residents of 829 Coventry Road, Sarah and John Goff and their 3 children. I'm going to share my screen here. Share the screen. Can you see the aerial photo?
We can.
Okay. So thank you for allowing me to present tonight. Sarah and John's Sarah and John's house was originally constructed in 1924 and has 1,815 square feet of conditioned living space, 1,200 basement area, and with the rear shed, backyard, a total of 3,221 gross square feet of gross floor area. It's sited on a large 1,000 square feet as it was when it was originally built. It is a relatively small old house that is in repair due to multiple issues of blight and disrepair. This is actually the second application that Sarah and John have presented to KMAC. The first from last year proposed a much larger scale house and deck addition, including envelope and footprint expansion. But although that application was recommended approved by KMAC due to budget and programming constraints, we are presenting a much smaller project to you this evening. The proposed project scope is a selective interior remodel, which includes the replacement and modest of the current rear deck and stair, the replacement within current house footprint of the original unreinforced concrete foundations that are currently cracked and settling and the replacement of extremely weathered and barrier doors and windows with historically appropriate and efficient units. With regard to the deck, the existing stair and deck footprint is 15'4" wide by 9'4" deep. It's now rotting, has a non-compliant stair, and is the cause of water infiltration in the basement below. To resolve all these issues, the deck and stair need complete replacement. The proposed new deck and stair footprint is would be 19'2" wide, 11, and is that of 68 square feet. It will include a code compliant 36-inch wide stair and tall railings, 42-inch railings, allow the installation of new waterproofing, and the increase of the deck area will have no tangible impact on the neighbor's light, air, noise levels. The proposed foundation replacement includes the removal of 2 raised terrace floor areas along the front. The full areas, which currently have ceiling heights of 6'10" and 5'11", will be removed forward to allow for a consistently thick reinforced concrete slab throughout the basement. The entire new basement floor surface will align with the original, which has 7'10" ceiling heights. The new basement slab will maintain its alignment with the rear yard grade. Because some of the original and proposed basement ceiling heights exceed 4 feet below adjacent finished basement, it's considered a 3rd story. A variance is required to replace the foundation because it maintains and increases an existing non-conforming condition that exceeds the 2.5-story limit. The proposed design is on the calculations and rendition of Sarah and John civil and structural engineers, and its design is the most practical, structurally sound, and involves the least excavation methods available. Authorization of the variance regarding the foundation replacement would not constitute a special privilege relative to other nearby neighbors, many of whom retain their originally constructed story counts and lower floor ceiling heights that predate the contemporary planning code standards. The window and door replacement scope that may have some impact on the community include the removal of an existing window at the north primary sidewall. Because the current window is only 3'6" away from the north property, it faces the nearby neighbor, will provide both properties. Enlarged window pair at the east primary bedroom front wall directly reference and balance the size and function of the existing windows, which front living room windows here in the foreground. The resizing of the front primary bedroom windows will add a much needed balance and aesthetic improvement to the public facade of the house. Other than the modest deck replacement, no change to the overall building mass envelope, no effect on the building area, height, width, setbacks, nor light, air, views, privacy, noise levels, or parking. The proposed improvements will maintain the historic design elements, scale, and charm of the home as was originally designed. And in doing so, the project will certainly maintain, if not improve, the neighbor's value of the property. We respectfully request that you recommend approval of our application to the Contra Costa Zoning Administrator. Thank you for your leadership. And I will stop sharing my screen.
All right, thank you. At this point in time, I'm going to ask the KMAC members if they have any comments or questions. I'll start with Melissa. Any comments or questions?
No, I remember approving this when it last came before us, and it seems like a reasonable downsizing of that one that we voted in favor of. So I think this works fine and understand budget constraints at this point. So yeah, it seems like a good plan.
All right. Lloyd?
Oh, thanks. I remember this house too from the last time we looked at it. Plus I've been inside it when it was on the market the last time. Beautiful backyard, but that foundation, whoo. So I don't have any questions. I will note that if we approved the more expansive plan before, it would seem to be unfair to withhold approval of a reduced plan, especially where the house envelope basically is not altered.
Thanks. Thank you, Lloyd, for that. Larry?
I agree with everything that's been said. The basement really does need to be redone. And if we already approved a larger project, I don't see how we cannot approve this.
All right. Thank you. Adam?
I agree with everybody else. It's the foundation has to change. So it's the project makes a lot of sense. And I do remember it from last time as well.
All right. Thank you, Adam. Ro?
I agree with all of the comments.
All right. Thank you. And Chris?
Say fairness has nothing to do with it. Just kidding. No, I agree, and I remember the original variance approval as well, because I think it was created by the Dormers, and again, what we always support is going down, what you're doing, so it's well within line with other variances we've approved, and it fits the legal compliance for it. So great project.
Right. I actually have no other comments either. At this point in time, I'm going to just open it up to the public. So anybody in the public that wishes to speak on regarding 829 Coventry. All right. Since I don't see any hands raised or anybody waving their hands or speaking, any last words, Christian? Or even Sarah, I see that you're on.
All I can say is thanks for having me and
all right.
us. considering.
Yes, and thank you very much. I'm sorry we're in the car, we're driving to Canada, but I did hear the whole thing and appreciate the fairness and the consideration. And we're very excited to finally be able to fix our house.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in on your drive to Canada. Drive safely. Okay, at this point in time, I'm going to close the meeting to the public and just have a KMAC member talk among themselves. I don't know if there's any other comments that you all need to have. My last question. So if right now.
Patrick, you were breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I see that.
No problem, but does anyone have a comment? I guess is the question from the KMAC board.
No comments from me.
Internet. So if there are no, I will ask for motion.
I will make a motion for you, Patrick. And you might, if you turn your video off, it might
Is there a
help.
motion?
Yep, I will
Okay.
make a motion to recommend approval of 829 Coventry, VR 22-01026, in that it meets the requirements for the variance request.
I'll second.
Yeah, I have a
All-
motion
all
to
in-
recommend approval and a second from Melissa. Do I hear any questions or comments regarding the motion? Okay. I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Raise your hand and say, aye. Can you hear me?
You have
And
7.
all those opposed?
You have 7 A's.
Okay. All right, so I have, again, we have Chris, Melissa, Lloyd, Larry, Adam, Raul, myself, Patrick. No nays. So again, Christian and as I recommended, KMAC has hopefully give the our recommendations to the county after this meeting or by tomorrow. So I would kind of contact your planner and see when you can get on the agenda for the with the zoning administrator.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank
All
you.
right.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, with that said, I am going to go to the last item, which the last project that we're going to listen to is 205 Columbia VR 22-10130. The applicant seeks a variance approval for the front patio improvements, including a 10.5-foot retaining wall with a 3-foot guardrail, 13 feet combined height, located 13 feet 3 inches from the front property line where 20 feet is minimum required. The project also requires a variance approval for a proposed trash enclosure located approximately 2 inches from the front property line where 20 feet is required. So with that, I think Todd Jersey, you are going to present the project. So I have, if you want to share your screen, you can, or I do have your project lined up as well.
Hi, Robert. I'm on the line here, and hi, everybody else. Thanks for having us. The owner, David Tuft, is also with us. And I am fortunately sort of a Luddite when it comes to Zoom.
Okay.
You guys do have the presentation. Is it possible that you could
I can definitely present
That'd be great.
your presentation.
And I will narrate.
And then I'll just, and you can just, I just have the county's application that
yep.
we applied. Okay.
Yep.
Let me do that.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
This is Patrick.
Patrick, sorry.
Bahar.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Patrick.
So we're going to 205 Columbia. So this is the application.
Yep.
Probably, I don't know, if here's just the,
Yeah.
kind of the site plan of the project site right
Yep.
here on
Yep.
Columbia. And
It's-
I'll probably go to, let's see, there's a lot of boring things, but I don't know if you want to speak on that.
No, you can keep going.
The project.
Yeah, so just if this is fine.
Okay.
It is an ADU project in site development. You can go to the next
Okay,
slide. So you can see here where it's proposed ADU. You can also see on L 1.0 where the outlining of the existing house is. Where we're focusing on the variance is really focusing on the circular patio, which is right in the middle of this drawing. There is an existing patio, which is with a which is about, I would say, a maximum of about 5 feet above grade. And it has a well, it's half demoed at this point, but it had a solid wooden fence on top of the so there was a so let me backtrack. There it's a steep slope, over 20% grade. There, in order to create some flattish living area, long ago the owners created a patio on this north side of the building by creating a retaining wall, and then they wanted privacy. They added about a 5-foot solid wood fence on above that. What they were left with was a patio that's roughly the shape, if you can see the double dashed line, there you go, and it goes up, and you can see it's a larger area than our proposed patio. That is roughly about a foot, maybe a foot, 6 inches to a foot lower. With grades down, it's not perfectly flat, but it's about at its lowest, it's about a foot or so lower than the patio we propose. So in the patio we propose is level at 500 feet elevation, where the old patio started at 500 feet elevation at the house and then sort of graded away down about a foot. So our new patio is completely level. The new patio, as you can see, at its most, I guess it's its westernmost point, is just about a foot beyond the the new retaining wall we are building, right, in order to support our new patio, is a curved retaining wall. That's the new curved line you see there, right? So that's a board formed concrete wall, and at its westernmost, you can see it eclipses the westernmost point of the existing patio wall by about a foot. Other than that one location, it's closer to the house and sort of less protruding less towards the street than the existing retaining wall, which is being demolished. So our variance is really mostly to rebuild a patio which was really already existing at a smaller footprint, with actually less mass than the old one, if you include the 5-foot solid wood fence, because that will go away at a lovely TBD steel see-through, semi-opaque or transparent railing at 3'6" instead of 5 feet tall. Will be replacing that. So the overall, so if you go to the next slide, so this is a site section that shows you the existing. This is sort of at the, again, I talked about that westernmost point. This is like worst case scenario in terms of the bulk of this new retaining wall to the street. You can see that the height of the existing sort of opaque existing wall was at the, it's hard for me to read this. Can you zoom in a little bit right to where you are, Patrick, sort of in the middle of the drawing? That's, whoops, maybe one out. Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, so now we can see, thank you very much, this is great. Now we can see our top of new wall at 500 feet 6 inches. You can see that the top of the existing wall, right there. You can see these are plus or minus, but you can see the solid wood fence to be demolished is about maybe 3 foot 6 inches taller than the top of our new wall. So in a way, the height of our opaque wall has come down. And the height of the overall wall has come down about a foot. So I'm saying the overall wall, including the railing. So we are asking for a variance to exceed the 36-inch height limit for a from grade to the sorry, there's a couple of little errors on this. What it's not showing is that the maximum face of that wall at this sort of highest location, if you will, is 7 feet. So I'm sorry that's not shown. The maximum wall at the existing was about 5 foot 6 inches. So the if you will, the masonry aspect of the wall has raised in this worst case scenario by about 18 inches. Yeah, so again, this is worst case scenario. This wall quickly curves back to recede further back closer to the house than the existing patio wall. So I think the overall effect is a more beautiful curved, lovely, soft curved wall that protrudes at a maximum of 7 feet high in front, behind a hill with native shrubs. So I think when you think about a wall, you think about a flat wall that you're confronting. This 7 foot flat wall. That is not our case. Our case is a curved wall, which goes from about 3 feet tall, comes out to a 7 foot tall max, and it curves beautifully back. And it is meant to be gorgeous, a gorgeous setback to some beautiful native shrubs, which will be in the 5 to 6 foot tall ceanothus kind of shrubs. Mostly you will not see this wall other than a sort of a peekaboo kind of deal. I do have this photograph, but I don't know how to share it. It's a Google Earth photo, and it sort of shows the existing wall before we demolished it. But anyway, let's see what other drawings we sent along. Well, this is mostly just the sort of overall texture. Kudos to the owner, David Tuff, for wanting to and spending a real good amount of money on redeveloping this property from really dilapidated stone and brick, unsafe to to a large degree, to what will be a gorgeous front yard, with less, I think with a significantly less visual mass, and significantly more beautiful a visual mass. And I'll end with Tracy Westfall is a super talented landscape designer. She's working with David and I on refining the last bits of this project, including the plant list and the irrigation, the soils, rocks. A bunch of native rocks were saved and pulled out of the ADU excavation, and they'll be sort of used decoratively. Sorry, I said that was the last thing. There's one other thing. Against the house, maybe you could go back, Patrick, one. No, one more, sorry. Okay, so you can see here on the lower part, in the sort of the lower left-hand part of this drawing, you see the thick line that shows the house. There's a an 8-inch concrete, what we're calling a buttress wall, which will be built to allow the grade to recede a little bit and go down without undermining at the house, without undermining the foundation. And it'll allow us to demolish a series of retaining walls that were built to sort of stabilize this slope over the years, which are unattractive. They're just not beautiful at all. So I think sort of the overall work here was to create a really stunning and lovely streetscape. So, not just for the owners, of course, but for the neighbors. So I think that's it. David, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, if it would be okay, I actually opened up a photo of the old wall, and I'd love to share that just so you can see what the horror that we're replacing here.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So let's see, give me a sec here. It took me like 5 minutes while Todd was presenting to actually get photos to load. But this is really, Todd was mentioning we had this like solid, not so solid when the dilapidated fence started coming apart, but
Yeah.
these stairs were completely falling apart, very unsafe. There was cracks. You could see cracks along this wall. This was like the original height. There was 18 inches and cement was put on top of that. And then this fence here. And finally, Todd mentioned this overhang. It was just very unsightly. We've been really wanting to change this for a long time. But finally, the ADU enabled us to make the change. So the setback is virtually the same, if not less than what it was, as Todd mentioned. And we think we're putting in something much more lovely and much lighter and safer than what was there before. And we didn't mention that, this is a hillside location, as many of our neighbors have hillside locations, and many folks use these kinds of retaining wall patios to increase the open space of their property, and we're just doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's a good point in terms of sort of like, the findings, that there are a number of retaining walls within 20-foot front yard setbacks that are well above 3 feet all around Kensington and Berkeley Hills and Oakland and Richmond. I mean, it is, when you're in a significant plus 20% slope, you're the only way to carve out some a usable outdoor open space is to do some retainage. So it would be, unfair to restrict David and his wife from the ability to at least recreate, a decent, if not more beautiful, patio for themselves.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, David, for the photos. That would be great. So at this time, I'm going to just ask the KMAC members if you have any brief questions to ask to the applicant and owner. I'll start with Lloyd. Got to unmute.
He's working on it.
Okay.
First, I have to figure out how to unmute.
Yep.
And then I have to unmute. So it's a multi-step process.
Right.
I don't have any questions, except that it seems like the garbage can enclosure. Did we talk about that? I don't recall.
I didn't hear it.
Good point.
Can you do that? I'm gonna.
I
put
had
that up
forgotten to
again.
discuss that. Thank you.
That's
Oh,
there.
Yep. So that's there. That's just limited to the height of the trash enclosures itself. So the trash bins themselves, it's just meant as a screen, nothing more. Because right now the trash bins tend to sit out in front of the driveway on the driveway. David, do you want to speak to that?
I would say this. First of all, we've seen a number of trash enclosures pop up among our neighbors. Just recently added an enclosure as they did some landscaping. We're adding another unit with another set of trash cans, and it just seemed natural for us to have a place for them to put the cans that wasn't, in everybody's way or in the garage or whatever. So, it felt like part of the AD. I was actually surprised to see it, but it makes sense in terms of, I don't know if this variance includes the enclosure, but
It does.
So yeah, then it was part and parcel of doing the ADU to create that extra, really to an improvement, I would say, than not having an enclosure for trash.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you.
Larry?
I actually delivered the notices around the whole neighborhood, and I think the project's great. And I don't see how it's going to interfere with anyone, in fact. And so I support this project.
Larry.
Right. Adam?
No questions. One comment on the railing on your patio. It looks like you're over 3 feet high off the ground. And I believe from when I was doing work on my own house and some other people, that you have to be at 42 inches railing. And I think you're only at 36 based on
It's
the plans.
36 on a 6-inch curve. That's how you get the
Oh,
42
got it.
inches.
Okay. That
That's-
answers it then.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have no other questions.
Right. Ro?
Project looks great. I assume you've talked to your neighbors and let them know about the project.
We absolutely did. Yes.
Great. No concerns on their end.
No. I think we had one question about the trash enclosure having being fully enclosed, with the doors, and it is. So that was the only question that came up.
Great.
All right. Chris?
My question just be, it's really 3 variances? I mean, or three conditions, right? We're looking at. Is the height, I was trying to get it, it's the patio improvement, or there's no variance for the height, is there, or is there a height variance?
There, let me just find
I was
that.
reading it. I don't, there isn't, right?
It's
So
the
there's no height
retaining
variance.
wall.
I didn't think so. Okay, so it's just, so that none of that really, no offense to it, none of it really matters. The retaining wall has to be engineered because it's over 36 inches. So as long as the county's good with the engineering, the height doesn't really make a difference. The only thing we're really looking at is that it's within 20 feet of the property line, right? Or less than 20 feet, but the old one already was. So
Exactly.
existing condition. And then the other is just the trash enclosure. The only question I'd ask, is there any reason, it's not a big deal, but you couldn't move it back or put it somewhere else so it's not within 2 inches of the property line, or is it just to ease for the garbage?
Well, it's the grade, I think, Todd, right?
Is it?
Well, it's functionality. We were hoping, and David brought up the point that I had forgotten, that the garage is not part of the ADU, that's part of the house. So now you're got an issue with the ADU folks. Where do they store their trash enclosures? And then, they'll end up being in the median strip and the
But
sidewalk.
it's built where it is because it's next to the garage, if I'm seeing it correct. Okay.
It's
so
next to the
really-
garage and accessible to the sidewalk and easy to pull out
Got it. Okay,
for
So
on
really-
trash days.
got it. So if I'm getting it right, it's really those 2 conditions. And as you said, there are other people in the neighborhood with a similar condition. So, okay, I got it. I
Yep.
just wanted to understand it.
Yeah.
I'm good,
Thanks.
Patrick.
Okay. Melissa?
My only thing is everything on this is showing an elevation of 5 feet with the top of wall at 5'6". And you said it's a perfectly flat patio. In my experience, you always want something this large or any paved area to drain away from the house.
It's in the middle.
Yeah, there's an area drain in the middle.
Okay, so, but it's not.
It won't be
show-
perfectly flat. I mean, it's obviously it'll have
Okay.
some
It's
mild.
drained right there.
Yeah. So it's either gonna be a porous flagstone, so it'll just drain, or it'll be flagstone on top of concrete. And then we will have to slope to a drain, which is
Okay.
shown in the drawing.
Yeah, I see that. And then, so then you have all this other paving that's sort of mixed in there at the same 500-foot elevation. So that's just my general comment is how is all the drainage working on this site? Because that's a lot of paved area.
Yeah, so it's either going to be pervious. So it just drains through and then it drains. If it's pervious, it's no different than if there was nothing there.
Understood, but it's flagstone over concrete, stone over concrete. That's not pervious.
Right, so it may be pervious because that's really not part of our application right now. That's more for the city engineers. If it is flagstone over concrete, it will drain to that center area drain as shown.
That's how it drained before with the existing wall that had pavers and a drain that went out to the sidewalk. So I think we'll be making that, we'll take that out to the sewer, to the, not sewer, to the,
No, just drain to the street like the old
Street.
one did.
yeah, like
Yep.
the old one did.
Any other questions, Melissa?
Mm-mm.
I do have a question. It's going back to the trash enclosure. I'm just trying to, not so much where it is, but more about the height of it. And so, or what it looks like. And so I just want to know a little bit about it. I know that was just mentioned that it has doors and it's surrounded by a wall, but I'm not quite sure. Is there a drawing that shows the height of it? Only because of the fact that it is next to the property line and it is not a built structure, it's an accessory structure, but it's something. So is there any drawings that show that, or?
It's a not a fully developed,
This is something Tracy's actually working on, and there's a
Okay,
brick
good.
wall currently. You can see the brick wall on the opposite side of that stair. And then we are redesigning to actually incorporate the enclosure into the brick wall. So instead of looking like it looks with sort of a box shape, it'll have more of a right angle on the right side and a sloped angle, so it's incorporated into the brick wall. And I think the height is the same as that brick wall, but I'm not 100% sure because I can't remember whether it's supposed to have a cover going over it or not. I think that's sort of been an option for us. So this is actually something Tracy is dealing with, sort of the final design. So the location isn't changing, but I think the actual design is something we're still, as Todd was indicating, kind of working our way through and incorporating that, I think, in a more graceful way into the existing brick wall that will actually have pilasters and, a mailbox and a more a way to signify the entrance to the house and into the new ADU with a new building number. So the trash enclosure would actually kind of get absorbed into that kind of a structure. I just don't recall the height though.
Can you pull that photo back up, David? Because you can see that there's already
Give me a sec.
within the setback, there's already brick stairs that are probably taller than what the trash enclosure will end up being. So just in terms of like massing,
You don't have a great.
oh, you don't have a picture of it, sorry.
I'm not.
Okay. And of
Well,
course, the
probably,
garage,
yeah, at this point in time, I'm going to just say that my question was with regard to that height, and because it is a part of the variance, in terms of, I'm gonna, I have to, couple of the things that, in this, a question, because of the fact that we're looking at variances have to be in terms of it has to either, you need to show something that is, you had referenced some other structures or other trash enclosures in your neighborhood, which sounds like they have them. My concern is more about the height, because right now it's not showing anything about the mass and the height of this trash enclosure. And, you know, if we do recommend approval, part of the concern I have is that there's no height that's shown on these drawings, meaning that we don't know how
Yeah.
massive it's going to be.
No, that's
next to
clear.
the thing.
That's clear.
And so that I'm
I-
gonna just put that right there, unless you have, like, we're not gonna be exceeding X
Right.
height.
I would
Um,
suggest that we just simply put in the conditions of approval, height limit.
Okay, so
I mean-
I'm just asking the question if there is a height that we can,
I
Use
would
in our
suggest
notes?
a 5-foot height limit. And then if we wanted to exceed that, obviously, we would have to come back to you.
okay.
I guess if we need to come back to you for the.
You won't have to come back to us. It will just be worked with the
I
zoning
think the general
administrator.
standard is 6 feet.
I'm digging through some drawings. I stepped away so I could dig through some drawings, more recent drawings, and I think, I just don't know I have one now, so I think we could share that with you or whomever, once we have a more detailed plan. So that one has not worked out. I would like to request that we can at least move forward with the variance for the wall, if you're splitting them up or something like that.
I don't think that's what's happening.
Okay.
No, I think it's better just
We can do
to,
just a height. If you're
Yep.
comfortable with 5 feet, I think that's fine, to your point.
And not to exceed.
yep,
Just do not to exceed. Again, looks like the standard is 6 feet, but if you're good with 5, then we
we're
could.
fine with 5.
Yep, then I think we could just say that, Patrick, so we could make the variance.
I just wanted to make sure that we're kind of, because, you know, if you're approving just any sort of trash enclosure, it could be 20 feet high, and that wouldn't be right. So, okay, good enough.
Good.
I mean, at this point, I don't have any other questions, but I'm going to throw this out to I'm going to open it up, open it up to the public. If there's any comments from the public, if you would raise your hand on this particular project. Other than David, I don't think there's any.
We have
other
John,
people
John,
other
you have
than-
a question? We have John, who's our public. John, do you have a question? Or
Oh,
comment?
John, I see that. Okay, so if there's no questions, I don't see any last comments, Todd and David?
No, I think I think you did a great job, Patrick, navigating through this, and I'm comfortable with the 5-foot not to exceed height
That's
for the
trash enclosure.
for the trash enclosure. Yep.
Yeah, 5 feet. Yeah, because a can is 41
Yep.
inches high.
Yep. So that perfectly covers the
Yeah,
the
totally
stuff
covers
you don't want to see
it. Yeah.
without being
We're on-
too bulky.
We're on the same page on that one.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for your time, everybody. Appreciate you.
Good enough.
doing this-
At this time, I'm
civic
gonna
duty.
close the public comments and talk among themselves. Are there any, as I mentioned on the last two, are there any comments based on the questions that you might have asked or anything? There wasn't any responses from the public. So any last comments? I'm gonna open it up to all the KMAC members. Okay, if not, there's not, I am going to ask, is there a motion?
Sure, I can make a motion to recommend approval of 205 Columbia VR 22-01030, in that it meets the 3 findings for a variance. And that with the added note that the height of the trash enclosure be no higher than 5 feet.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed, sorry, not to exceed 5 feet.
Okay, I have a motion from Chris recommending approval of 205 Columbia with the added comment with regards to the trash enclosure should not exceed the height of 5 feet. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
Oh, almost, not.
Go ahead,
You gotta
give
be
it to Lloyd.
fast.
I don't
You gotta be
care.
fast, Lloyd. So Melissa, I have a second from Melissa. So I have a motion from Chris, a second from Melissa. Is there any comments, questions to the motion? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
I,
Aye.
Oppose? Nay, so all seven, Chris, myself, Rule, Larry, Melissa, Lloyd, and Adam are all approving.
Question, Patrick,
We
this-
recommend approval of the motion and so of the project. So Todd and David, again, as I mentioned to the other two previous applicants, I would contact your planner and see when you can get on the agenda. I will be sending a note to
Okay,
the county tonight or tomorrow morning regarding the
Great.
project.
will do. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
All right, good night. At this point in time, I am going to,
Make a motion.
I've got to put up the, let's see. I got to put up the screen. I got to make sure that we have covered everything in our meeting, and I think we are. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at, what do I have, 8? I can't see the clock. Oh, no.
8:17.
At
8:17.
8:17
I have
PM.
8:16, but
We'll go with 8:17 and we'll talk for 30 more seconds.
All right. I have a motion to adjourn from Chris at 8:17. Adam, you did, okay. We have a second from Adam.
I had to beat Melissa.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right,
I didn't even
good enough.
try.
So any comments or issues with the motion in the second? If not, all those in favor, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, oppose? Nay, okay, 7 ayes, no nays. Chris, Melissa, Lloyd, Larry, Adam, Raul, and myself, Patrick. So again, and thank you all for joining. Thank you all for participating. Welcome, Raul, to KMAC. Thank you. I see Robert, there he is. Robert there, thank you for coordinating all this and I appreciate, have a safe rest of the week. Enjoy your 4th of July as it's coming up and we will talk probably next month.
Yes,
Take care.
Raoul, welcome from all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's Ruel, actually.
Oh,
Wow.
well, thank you for the correction.
No problem.
We're at full
Thank you.
strength now.
I look forward to meeting you guys in person someday.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe next year. Yeah.
Maybe. Thanks, Patrick.
All
All
right,
right, everybody.
take care.
Bye.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
See y'all soon.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.